Hello, my name is Hunter Holliday, and today I will be doing a Google Forms tutorial. So, for starters, let's talk about the grade level outcome I will be reviewing. The grade level outcome that I chose was exhibits proper etiquette, respect for others, and teamwork while engaging in physical activity and/or social dance. And this was an S4H2L1 grade level outcome. So, here we go. We are going to first talk about how to create a Google Form quiz. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up a new tab up here, and we are going to go into our Google Drive. So we're going to type that in, and here we go. We're going to click on the link, and we are going to go to our Drive. As you can see, it logs me in right away. If you don't have a Google Drive account, you might have to create an account, and if you do have an account, you might have to sign in. But I get right in, so let's get into it. We are going to start a new Google form. We're going to go down here and we're going to hover over this little arrow, and we are going to want to start a blank form. So we're going to click on that, and it's going to take us to a blank form right here for Google Forms. So let's start with the title. Let's say you are very interested into sports, so we're just going to do this as a demonstration, and we're going to do it on NFL teams. So right here we have our first question. Now we can go into here and we can either make it a multiple choice, we can change it to short answer, we can change it to checkboxes, so many different options. We could do a linear scale where the students can grade themselves, but we are going to stick with multiple choice. So let's type in a question. Which of these is a NFL team? So right here we have our question, and right here is the first option for what students can choose. So let's go with the Cowboys. We'll do the Yankees, do a couple of baseball team, the Red Sox, and we will do the Lakers. So now that we have our question here, we are going to want to make sure that we make it required so that students have to answer it. And then we're going to go up here into settings. Before we do anything, we're going to go into settings. We're going to click on that, and we're going to make this a quiz. So click on that, and we get some options here. Immediately after each question, it will release the grades. There's a little lock mode here. If you're taking a serious quiz, you can turn this on, and that will prevent students from going up into tabs and searching up answers for the quiz. One thing that I love about Google Forms is right here, the missed questions with the correct answers. So as a student, sometimes I take quizzes and I get an answer wrong, and I'll go back to see what the right answer was, and I'm not allowed to do that. But here in Google Forms, if I get a question wrong, it gives me the option to go back, review what the right answer was, and be able to learn from that question as to why I got it wrong. So let's go back into the questions here, and we'll add another one in there. We'll throw in the same question. Which of these is a NFL team? And we'll go we'll make this, we'll do checkboxes here and just switch it up a little bit, show the different options. We'll do the Cowboys. We'll add another right answer. We'll do the Patriots. We'll throw in the Rangers, which aren't an NFL team, and we'll do the Blue Jays. So now that we have some answers in here, we're going to remember to make it required. And I forgot up here, we forgot to put in the right answer. So now that we made it a quiz, we have the option of this answer key. Now that you can see that. So we're going to click on that, and now we are allowed to choose which of these is the right answer. So Cowboys was the right answer, and we want that to be 1 point. Done. Going back down to here, we click on this. Another cool option about Google Forms is you can take this, and once you put in all the answers, you can move this and change the order of where you want your answers to be. So now that we have this going to be required, and making this required, that's going to put a little asterisk up here, as you'll see from the student's point of view in a little bit, but making it so that they have to answer this question. So now we're going to go to the answer key, And now we choose the right answers. So now we know the Patriots is an NFL team and the Cowboys are an NFL team. So we have 2 right answers for this one. So now we're done. And to keep creating new questions, you just go over here to this little sidebar here. You can add a question. You can add a title to each question. You can add an image or you can add a video. So plenty of options that Google Forms allows you to do with each question. It gives you a lot of customization. So now we have our quiz. We think we're done, but we want to see what it looks like for the student's point of view before we send it out. So what we can do is go up here to the little preview icon. We'll click on that, and now this is what the students are going to see when you send out the quiz. So now we have our sports quiz, and this is what they're going to see. So which of these is an NFL team? This is the little asterisk I was talking about, making it a required question. The students have to answer it, and it's worth 1 point. So they're going to go through, look at the options. They're going to click on the Cowboys because they know that's an NFL team. Here's a gimme. And let's say, I don't know what the second team is. Let's say it's the Blue Jays. We think it's the Blue Jays. So we submit this form, and now the students are able to go in and they can view their score. Like I mentioned before, they can see what they got right as well as what they got wrong. And not only what they got wrong, but why it's wrong. So now they know that in the future, which is the right answer to the question is the Patriots and the Cowboys. So now they know why they got it wrong and what the right answer is. So let's get out of here, and let's go back to our presentation. So now we can take a look at what my Google form looked like that I implemented with students. So here we have related to my grade level outcome, etiquette in PE, testing your knowledge in PE. So now I'll go through kind of quickly just so you can get a look at some of the questions. As you can see, all of these have the asterisks next to it, making it required. It's 8 questions with these 2 as well. I wanted to incorporate a different style of question, but minus the just multiple choice for everyone, so give the students an option to kind of grade themselves on these down here. So as an educator, now I can see what my quiz looks like, and I've had some students fill out the quiz, so I have 26 responses. So the cool thing about Google Forms is now I can go right into here into the responses, and it gives me a summary of the insights. So I can go right in here and look, okay, so the average of my students was a 7.12 out of 8 points. So right off of the bat, I know that they did fairly well on this quiz. The median was 8 out of 8, which was the best they could do. And it shows the range right here, showing that we had 2 people score a 4, and the best score up to 15 people that had an 8 out of 8. So now I can go down here and I can kind of get a look at a sense of what questions gave students problems. So right off the bat, you can see here, 25 out of 26, the students did really well with this question, but down here, only 17 out of 26. And we can see how many students chose each question. So that's pretty cool. But let's say I want to break it down more. We can go into here, we can look at it question by question and see what students chose. But I want to look at it more. So we can go to individual here, and we can see individually what students got. Now I didn't want to choose names because I want to keep that private, but I could have made the first question, what is your name? Make that required. So then I know who is answering the quiz and whose answers are whose. But we're going to leave this anonymous, so we're going to go by just numbers. So I can see the first few people here. They got 8 out of 8. 8 out of 8, and then boom, this person only a 5 out of 8. So right here I could see Johnny, he got the second question wrong, and I can see what answer he chose. And yes, so that is that. Let's go back up here into the presentation. So that was my Google form that I implemented with the grade level outcome. So we're not just doing this quiz just to do it. There needs to be a reason why. So this is the assessment criteria. as you can see, we have high mastery, mastery, and approaching mastery. And these little numbers in parentheses here, that's how many students reached that category. So we had 15 of the students reach high mastery with a perfect score. We had 5 in mastery, and we had 4 approaching mastery. And moving on, we had low mastery, where we had a few students reach down there, and no mastery, we had nobody, which is really good. You don't want anybody. They'd have to be very bad to reach no mastery. And I put this little blurb down here. As you can see, I had a linear scale on my quiz, so there wasn't really a right answer to that because of compared to like a multiple choice question. So I said if a student grades their self-grade of how they rate their actions towards their classmates and effort in the class below the threshold, one correct answer point can be deducted to classify their mastery level. So what I mean by that is if, as you can read here, for low mastery, they needed to get 4 of the correct answers on the multiple choice with at least a 5 self-grade of how they rate their actions toward their classmates and effort in class. And why did I ask question to rate their effort in class? Because to be a good teammate, to be a good classmate, you have to show effort in class. Nobody's gonna want. Plus, you want your students moving around you, but you don't want to kickball. You don't want a group of people, standing in a corner not participating. We want students participating and being good teammates. So let's say they did not give themselves at least a 5 for this threshold. If they gave themselves below that, I would take away 1 correct answer point from this. So if they had 4 correct answers and didn't give themselves at least a 5 here, we would bump them down to a 3. Or a 3, we'd bump them down to a 2, and so forth. So what does this quiz tell us? So based off the data that we looked at, students showed success in the grade level outcome. The average score was a 7.2 out of 8, so they did very well, and the median was an 8 out of 8. Well, nobody was in the no mastery category, which is what we want. We don't want anybody down there. And students did very well with this, showing that they show proper etiquette in PE, that they're good teammates, and they're good classmates to one another. So as far as the Google Forms, some pros here. It's easy to use, it's easy to navigate, it's easy to share, which is another thing that I forgot to mention. So let's back out of this. When we are in our Google form and we are ready to finally send it out to students after we've previewed it, we're just going to click on this send icon right here, and we can email it to our students, or we can put them all in a group, and we can copy this link here and post it into the email for students to do. So let's go back into this. And so another Google Forms Pro is it gives the analytics of the quiz as we looked at the data. It's easy to take from the student's perspective. As you saw, it's just really simple. You just read the questions, click on the answers, and submit it. And you get the results right away as an educator. As well as a student. You can see your answers right after you answer them. Some cons, there's honestly, I couldn't really think of any cons for Google Forms. I loved the platform. The only thing I could think of was it took me a while to figure out how to create an answer key, because remember, we have to go into settings and make it a quiz first. So it took me a second to figure that out. But besides that, it was super easy to use and super easy to navigate, as well as set up for the quiz. So is Google Forms appropriate for the grade level outcome? Definitely. I would say that the quiz allows educators to assess the cognitive domain of students and their etiquette in PE, as well as how they treat their classmates. And I think this is easy. It's like an exit ticket. You can tell students, all right, listen, I emailed every one of you. This is going to be your homework. Just take this quiz. It's going to take you less than 10 minutes. Should take you less than 5 minutes. Go through that and answer the questions for me by next PE class. Super easy to use and gives you answers based on how your students are thinking and how they are in class. So on that note, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't used Google Forms yet, I would definitely say check it out. I'm definitely going to be using it into the future with my students.